Hey there, everybody. Uh, if you're here, you probably know me. If you don't, then my name is Michael Lamb. I love movies, and I'm here to try and bring some Jackson Film Club content to your feed. So, I thought that this is the first time I've ever done this on YouTube. So, I thought that I would just kind of go through some movies that I've been watching lately on Letterboxd. So here we go. This is my Letterboxd profile. If you don't know what Letterboxd is, it's like Goodreads for movies. Lots of uh, there's a social media aspect where you can follow people and see what movies they're logging. So I use it to log all the movies that I watch. Uh, Lately, I've been watching some comedy, some stand-up comedy. So the last thing that I watched was something that I watched for lunch today. Ismail Lutfi sounded it out. Uh, I was live on Twitch last night. I watched Mask twice. That's a short film that I was assistant director and assistant camera. I had fun doing both the job of directing and the job of camera. The the guys behind that, if you know me at all, the Sam Grafe and Jacob Cockrell, uh, they're really good buddies. They've made all their short films together. So they have a little production company, Escape the Wolf. This is the first time that they've really had a big crew to kind of work with. By big crew, I mean they had one other actor and then me. So excuse me. Don't mean to. I don't have an editor or anything, so all of that's going to stay in. Um, all right. Avatar: The Way of Water. So I have a review for this one. Watched this one last night. This it was long, but it was fun. Um, I was only ever going to do it once, I think, so I enjoyed it for the time that I had it. Uh, so visually, this is a spectacle to behold. I mean, the 3D really worked for me. The graphics here really puts Marvel and Star Wars and just pretty much all of Disney to shame. But then again, James Cameron did have a lot of money to spend on this, but yeah, so does Disney. So whatever. I'm tired of having to talk about billionaires all the time. Story wise, the family theme is big. I get that. I liked it for what it was. Um, I fell asleep watching the first one, so I wasn't super interested in that one. And when I did wake up, uh, to catch the climax and all the action sequences there, uh, I was a lot more impressed by the action sequences and the sequel. So I had a lot of fun with those. Uh, I recommend IMAX 3D if you really want to go all out. This is the movie to do it. $20 in Mississippi, so take that for what it's worth. I complain about plot holes. Sam says that he didn't notice any plot holes. Uh, this is kind of spoilery. That's the only plot hole that I can really remember off the top of my head. I don't know. I don't have the names of the actors here, so I have to go to IMDb. All right, not the actors, the characters. And this still probably isn't going to help me. So I do know Quaritch is the Colonel guy. If you've seen this movie, then you know. If you don't know yet, if you haven't seen this movie, it's like skip ahead 20 seconds. Uh, but Sam Worthington plays Jake Sully. Jake Sully has a relationship with Neytiri in the first movie. They have four kids together, two sons, two daughters, or they have two sons and one daughter. It's really confusing to me because there's Sigourney Weaver is also a character. I didn't know any of that. I was really confused. I prefer subtitles so that I can know the names, but I didn't get any of that. Anyway, um, the first son dies, and Quaritch, the next time that he's on screen, there's no way that he would know that the son had died because the family knows, but he doesn't know that. But he says something about it, and it's like, okay, how does he know? So if you can answer that question and make it make sense, then that'll cover up a plot hole. That's a plot hole. It's a big plot hole for me. The Square, I watched that twice in the span of 2 days. Really enjoyed that one. It's very satirical, and um, I really enjoy museum going. I enjoy the aspect of curation that relates to human perspectives, and I appreciate how this film allows for so much to happen all at once. At the same time, there's still just a recognizable, like, okay, if somebody's not watching this critically, then there will still be a main character for them to follow. But there's so much of it that you could do without the main character, and it would still have a theme. It'd still have meaning. It would still have humanity. I really, really enjoyed The Square. And so then that kind of sandwiches Compliance and Await Further Instructions, which are two wild movies for very different reasons. Compliance is this movie that is based on true events. And I say that. It stars Ann Dowd. Ann Dowd plays this manager of a fast food restaurant. And it's like a busy day. So it starts off with her giving everybody a pep talk, and then she gets called back to the office to talk to a police officer. That's what she's told, and she just believes that. And the whole movie is her like going along with whatever this police officer on the other end of a phone call tells her to do, because all he had to say was that he has her general manager on the line, and he like got that information out of her. Like, she's so stupid. So the whole movie is frustrating because it's like there's no way that this really happened. And then you're thinking like, okay, this happened, and the movie is self-aware enough to have a moment. I don't want to spoil it, but this is a spoiler, so skip ahead 30 seconds if you care about spoilers. The movie has this moment where an investigator has put everything together, realizes who it was, what kind of calling card they bought, where they bought it from, and then they also learn that this has happened 70 times. 70 times. I had a hard time really with the main girl. So I think that's Dreama Walker. Was that her? Yeah. There's a lot of criticism about this movie on Letterboxd about the exploitation of Dreama Walker. So she does have a moment where she's bare-chested. So in the true stories, and I looked this up after, in the true stories, like the worst case was what the movie told. So this was like the most extreme that they got, but it was still very bad. The manager would have one girl taken into the office, and then the manager would strip search her, and the police officer would talk everybody through all of that, and everybody just kind of complies because they, you know, back the blue, whatever. This happened in the 80s. Um, so they the manager would eventually like start telling the police officer, I have to go do my job. And so the police officer tells her to get someone else to come and just watch the girl. And the girl at this point, um, he he's gotten the manager to strip search her, take her clothes, and put her clothes out in her own car uh, in the parking lot so that he can come by and get them later. It's weird. And nowhere, at no point in time on this long ass walk, they film the whole walk, does this woman realize what she's doing. So the manager comes back from her car, and the girl's just like covered in an apron. Uh, Eventually, she has to call on the man that she has been calling her fiance. They're not engaged yet, but she gets him to come because the police officer needs his help, and they, uh, the manager goes back out and to do her job. So she, the girl, Dreama Walker, her character, she's alone with this man who's older and is, you know, pervy, as men are. All men are creepy, just so you know. The it was really uncomfortable. It was really uncomfortable. He has her bend over because of what this police officer tells him. Grown man doesn't question this man because he just, well, I don't know. He does a bad thing, and he realizes he does a bad thing, and they show him having that moment, but also the manager, oof, then in the most American way to finish all of this, and the way that everything happened. The manager sues McDonald's and wins a lot of money because McDonald's wasn't there for her. But the girl also sued McDonald's and got nothing. And she was sexually assaulted. It's fucked. It's fucked. Await further instructions is, so both of these movies are Milgram-esque, if you know what that means. Stanley Milgram, Obedience to Authority. Go away. The Milgram experiments on obedience to authority figures were a series of social psychology experiments conducted by Yale University psychologist Stanley Milgram. They measured the willingness of study participants, 40 men, in the age range of 20 to 50, from a diverse range of occupations, with varying levels of education, to obey an authority figure who instructed them to perform acts conflicting with their personal conscience. Participants were led to believe that they were assisting an unrelated experiment in which they had to administer electric shocks to a learner. These fake electric shocks gradually increased to levels that would have been fatal had they been real. The experiment found, unexpectedly, the very high proportion of subjects would fully obey the instructions, with every participant going up to 300 volts and 65% going up to the full 450 volts. Milgram first described his research in a 1963 article in the Journal of Abnormal and Social Psychology, and later discussed his findings in greater depth in his 1974 book, Obedience to Authority, An Experimental View. I've read that book. So the experiments began in 1961 in the basement of Lindsay Chittenden Hall at Yale University, 3 months after the start of the trial of German Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann in Jerusalem. Milgram devised his psychological study to explain the psychology of genocide and answer the popular contemporary question: could it be that Eichmann and his million accomplices in the Holocaust were just following orders? Could we call them all accomplices? The experiment was repeated many times around the globe with fairly consistent results. Jesus. So, this movie is Milgram-esque in such that, okay, there's a moment where you see David Bradley's ass, which is terrifying. This is a horror movie, by the way. This guy in the picture and his lovely immigrant girlfriend, or maybe they're married. I think they're. I mean, they're. It doesn't matter. They haven't been home for 3 years, so I think that's as long as they've been together, and they get home, and all of a sudden, they're locked inside the house, and there's like this weird cabling stuff that's keeping them in. The TV has a message for them, and the message updates every now and then. And there's just a couple of people who, take it really seriously that the TV is sending them messages. I don't want to ruin it because this movie is a wild ride. I don't think a lot of people are going to like it, but I personally loved it. So there's that. All right, The Wave. It's a fun Justin Long movie. This was a very bad movie. Them. I don't even want to talk about it. And we'll stop. Oh gosh, I have too much to talk about. But I also have no idea how long this video is. Oh, 17 minutes. All right. We'll just go until, I guess, through the end of the month. So, I've been watching this movie Hackers a lot this year. I unironically really enjoy it. It's a comfort movie for me at this point. I've watched it 6 times. I reviewed it 6 times. I might have watched it more than that. This was a little short on YouTube. If you ever watch sci-fi films from the channel Dust, then that's where this is. I watched Avatar. I didn't rate it because I fell asleep through a lot of it, and so I really I was on board for a long time. And then it was like an hour, 15 minutes into the movie. And I was like, okay, this is just Pocahontas. And there's another like hour and 30 minutes of this movie. So I fell asleep. The last 30 minutes of it, I was still like, okay, I don't feel like I missed that much. Anyway, Black Bear. This is one that I've been meaning to get to for a while. I like Aubrey Plaza. I liked her in Parks and Rec. And so I was curious to see what she's like as a producer. She helped produce this film. And I've seen her in other stuff. What was that one? The time travel one. Safety Not Guaranteed. I saw that one, and I liked it, but it wasn't the best. I did not enjoy Charlie Countryman. There's a good bit that I haven't seen. I've only seen 4 films. Which ones are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. At a remote lake house in the Adirondack Mountains, a couple entertains an out-of-town guest looking for inspiration in her filmmaking. The group quickly falls into a calculated game of desire, manipulation, and jealousy, unaware of how dangerously intertwined their lives will soon become. This was a lot of fun. Uh, I don't want to spoil it by looking at the reviews, but basically there are two parts. The first part introduces you to the characters, and then the second part makes you question everything that you thought you knew from the first part. And I loved it. Kung Fury is a short that I found on YouTube. A friend of mine recommended it to me, and I just had a really good time with it and laughed out loud. It was hilarious. Portrait of God is another short that I found on YouTube, and it is very good. Really creepy. If you have 8 minutes and want to be kind of freaked out, that's a good one. The Fablemans, this was the time I watched it with Ben. It was a rewatch for me. It was his first time seeing it, and we both, at the end of the movie, had really teary eyes. It was very good. Thank you, Steven Spielberg. Shutter Island, I watched that one on free on YouTube. I wasn't the biggest fan of it when I saw it back in high school or college. Hocus Pocus 2 was fine. Decision to Leave, I was kind of bored. I watched Whiplash. I love that movie. Green Knight, that's a rewatch. That was... I thought I was going to get more into Christmas movies, but that didn't happen. Jesus of Nazareth. It's a 6-hour movie. 6 hours of Jesus' life. I mean, he lived like 33 years. On another note, that was I appreciated the dialogue in this movie. It's a short film on YouTube. It's where I watch a lot of my short films. Is there a better place to watch short films? I'm on YouTube right now, so you tell me. Good Will Hunting. Great movie. I cried. Jared Carmichael has been a recent favorite this year, and so I enjoyed his stand-up a lot. He came out as gay. If you don't know, I'm gay. So I respect it. I appreciate it. It felt like something... It was very voyeuristic, which I wonder how much of that is just natural in filmmaking. You just watch things and you see human moments. It's a lot about what the square is, because the square is, what the camera captures. How much of that does it take before you care, before there's something that you can really do, before it means anything to you. So, moving on. Fighting with My Family. I watched this with my friend Jenny. She's a big movie buff, and she's been wanting to show this to me for a while. We fucking hit 500 movies this year. She's seen 1,800, 245 this year. She's following 140 people. I have 73 followers. I watch, I read, I caffeinate, I repeat. I haven't been to her website in a while. Yeah. Call Me By Your Name. Was this the time that I watched it with Shelby? It's not. Shelby was gone at this point. 1 Minute Time Machine. I remember watching that back in the day. Watched that with some of my college roommates. And speaking of Jenny Brantley, she just texted me. Black Hole. This was a YouTube short film. And even I am a little skeptical. Oh, that's right. That's right. You can't see it because of my face. There's one word review will make sense if you see it. It's very good. I loved it. Firebird. So this entire performance for me rounded up to Tom Pryor's performance. All 4 stars go to Tom Pryor. The score is good. There's a lot of good cinematography, but Tom Pryor. I might be in love with Tom Pryor. All right, this is 27 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap it up with a little overview of who I am. I'll turn the camera off. So, my name is Michael Lamb. I'm a software engineer at C-Spire. C-Spire stands for Customer Inspired. We're a company based out of Ridgeland, Mississippi. We're telecommunications, privately held within the state. We also operate in Alabama, Louisiana, Kentucky, I think some parts of Florida, Tennessee. And anyway, I'm a software engineer on the customer applications team. I guess since I'm talking about myself, I should be on the camera. So the customer applications team primarily maintains and develops new features for customer relationship management applications. If you don't know what that is, anytime we have a number of retail stores distributed throughout the Southeast. If you ever walk into those, whether it's one of our corporate owned or whether it's an indirect retailer, they're using a custom point of sale software that we wrote. That was 10 years ago, and I've been able to make contributions to it. I provide support for it. That's kind of our job as a team. That's just one application out of, I don't know, maybe 40. There are some other larger teams at C-Spire that manage larger amounts of code bases. So that's primarily what I do full time. I also am a big fan of film and love watching movies. And so I have previously been part of JXN Film Club, the podcast, which is a podcast that I recorded with Brennan White and Sam Grafe. Brennan White of the Fairview Sound. He recently relocated this year from Jackson, Mississippi. He had his studio here in Belhaven, That's a district here in the city of Jackson. He moved to Columbia, Tennessee, with his wife. She got one of her dream jobs up there, and he is making it big, playing music all the time up there. And miss him, love him a lot, and I miss Sam, and I miss that we've not been able to get together and make any sort of podcast content. So this is my attempt at doing that for myself. And anyway, if you could give me a like, give me a subscribe, and leave a note for me in the comments, and I'll reply as soon as I can get to it. All right, thank you for being here. Bye.